Good afternoon to you, Mrs. Catwell. Just to draw a few things to your attention so that you're fully apprised thereof. This is a meeting of the Public Accounts Committee of the Parliament of Barbados. It is properly constituted for this session with a minimum quorum of 5 persons. And the duties of the Public Accounts Committee, among other things, is to examine the audited financial statements relative to government and some of its statutory corporations. The Transport Board, of course, being one such entity. We are to let you know that the hearings are being held in public. That is, there may be persons here who are giving an ear to the ongoings, but there's also the technology which carries our voices out of here and into the wider public as well. The evidence that you will give will be taken under oath. If you do object strenuously to taking a formal oath, then you can affirm that is provided for. I should tell you that under the Public Accounts Committee Act, Cap 10A at Section 17, says a person summoned to appear before the committee shall not without just cause, proof whereof, lie upon him, refuse to be sworn or to take that affirmation. So it's one or the other. Section 20, any person who in the course of giving evidence before the committee willfully makes a statement material to the subject of the inquiry of the committee that he knows to be false or does not believe to be true, or where he is reckless as to the factual content of that evidence, is guilty of an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine, $25,000, imprisonment of 2 years, or both. I needed to draw those things to your attention. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll have the Deputy Clerk administer the oath to you before we proceed.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Catwell. Could you stand, please?
Right.
Raise the Bible in your right hand and read the oath for us, please.
I do solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that the evidence I shall give before the committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Thank you.
Thank you. And would you introduce the person accompanying you just for the record, and also state your position for the record?
Yeah, Mrs. Joyanne Topping, my consultant.
As Joyanne
Topping.
Your consultant.
Yes, sir.
And your position with the board, with the Transport Board?
Administrative officer / board secretary.
All right. Just to further apprise you, I want to make sure you understand, the board is actually inquiring into the process approved and that employed by the board for purchasing of parts for vehicles, and how that contributed to the board's inability to repair buses and to maintain an adequate fleet. The repairs regime employed rebus transmissions. C, the acquisition of reconditioned bus transmissions. 4, the issue of over-invoicing and overpayment for repair transactions. 5, the status of a bus registered BM506. 6, the status of a scenic tour bus purchase transaction. And essentially, those are the things that we are inquiring into. That's clear to you?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, your position was that of, you said, corporate secretary?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you have, at the request of the board, furnish us with copies of the minutes for the period, just for the record, for the period. You furnished us with
2015.
minutes covering meetings by the board over the period.
2015 to 2018.
When in 2015, can you recall?
Pardon me?
When in 2015?
Yes, the first meeting was the 29th of January 2015.
All right, 29th of January 2015, that's the first copy I have. And it goes until
The 3rd of July 2018.
the 3rd
Yes,
of July 2018.
yes, sir.
Now, for the most of this time, the chairman of the board was Mr. Anthony Wiltshire.
Yes, sir.
The last copy of the minutes to which you just referred, the last meeting, the chairman was Mr. Gregory Nichols.
Yes, sir.
All right. And these are the official minutes of the board, for all meetings held during that period.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You were not involved in the recording of management meetings?
No, sir.
All right.
I used to years ago, but then,
So
yes.
you operate at the level of the board.
Board secretary, yes, sir.
All right. I have two questions, but I will give way first to any of my colleagues who might want to ask of your question. Minister Husbands, Senator Nurse. Any question? Minister Cattle? Okay. Dr. Brown? I'm going to ask you two questions. Were you present at all times during these meetings to which these minutes refer?
No, sir, I was not present at all times.
Were you asked to leave on any occasion?
Yes, sir, on vacation and so on.
Occasionally?
Yes.
Sorry? Didn't hear?
Pardon me, I didn't hear the
Were
question.
you present at all times during the events recorded in these minutes as reference to those dates which you gave us between January in 15 and July in 2018? Were you present at all times during all of the meetings?
I was not present at all the meetings.
All right. Did you absent yourself from any
No,
of those
sir.
meetings? Were you
No, I-
asked to absent yourself?
No, I was on holiday sometimes, and then I had occasion where the general manager took minutes, and then at times, if I had the meetings, she would ask me to be excused.
There were times when the general manager took the minutes?
Yes.
You would not have been present at those
No,
times?
I was not present.
And there were times when you were asked to be excused?
Yes.
And would you have understood why?
I don't know why, but she just asked me to be excused if they want to talk or discuss a particular subject.
So you would not be aware of any matters, I'm not talking about details, you would not be aware of any matters which would have been discussed in your absence?
Not really.
If they're discussing cricket, you may know they're discussing cricket, but they did not discuss the cricket in your presence.
No, not full
But-
detail.
But you would be aware of some of the subject matter discussed in your absence?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you would have understood why you were asked to absent yourself? Did it in any way seem odd to you? Did it in any way seem suspicious to you? Did it in any way cause you to think, really, I can't see why I'm not in there? What is it that is being discussed that I cannot hear? Was there any of your thinking?
So, yeah, I felt that way at times. Why asked me to be excused?
Yeah. And you would have a sense of what the subject matter was?
Sometimes I pick up. Sometimes.
You care to give us any examples?
Like sometime I think they were discussing about Mr. Bartholomew, and she asked me to be excused. And then there was another time where they were discussing my job. What was it? My job?
Well, that would be clearly understood. Mr. Bartholomew, why would you be asked to leave as the recording secretary?
Probably didn't want me to hear the discussion.
Okay. Any other board matters? Any other matters more pertinent to board operations that may have been discussed? You're aware of your absence?
I'll have to check the minutes.
But would they appear in the minutes if you're
Yes,
absent?
Yes, it would appear in the minutes. So, Mrs. Catwell was excused at this moment or whatever.
And if they discussed the matter when Ms. Catwell was excused, would that matter and its discussion appear in the minutes?
What happened? When they excused me, then when I returned to the meeting, they will just give a prayer, say, oh, so-and-so was discussed,
okay.
but not go into full detail.
Okay. May I ask you one more question? Are you aware, was there anything that transpired at the board during the period you were corporate secretary? Anything at all that transpired? Read the board's operations, read the meetings. Anything that transpired that bothered you, that you thought was not right? This is wrong, contrary to procedure, contrary to policy, not ethical?
I have to think. I will have to go through the minutes to check that, to give you an answer on that, sir.
Okay. All right. Now, we kept you back a while, and I want to apologize for that. We wanted you to enter formally these minutes into the record, which you have.
Yes, sir.
And really, your role was basically to record the minutes, right?
Yes, sir.
You weren't involved in any policy making
No,
or
sir. No, sir.
operational management or
No,
anything.
sir.
Just, yeah.
No,
All right.
sir.
So we want to thank you, unless, yes, Minister Husbands.
Sorry, thank you very much, Chair, and thank you very much for attending, Ms. Catwell.
Thank you.
I just have a couple of questions for you. On the issue of procurement, there were times when there was deviation from procedure, and my understanding from previous witnesses was that the board had cash flow issues.
Yes, sir.
So, in a situation where something was urgently needed and the cash flow was not there, would the issues of cash flow and how to resolve the problems come to the board for discussion for a way forward?
No, we will really come to the board, but not in great detail, more discuss it at management meeting.
Okay.
But it would just say, if you see some of the minutes, you hear, oh, we're having a cash flow problem, we are unable to buy parts, but it wasn't a solution. You would say
Never
to
came with it.
Mm-hmm.
We have from the documentation presented to us and from the internal auditor's report, the fact that the chairman had paid for some equipment for the board. And we found this highly unusual, and our understanding was this was not a common practice across chairmen, but with this particular chairman. Would a matter requiring him to pay for something come to the board for discussion, and the solution would be presented by the chairman that he would facilitate? Was there any such?
No, it wasn't discussed at the board meetings about
Never
purchasing
discussed?
parts. It wasn't.
Never discussed at board meetings?
I don't know if it was discussed when it was excused from a meeting or whatever, but it wasn't discussed.
And you would not have been given a note
No.
to say that it was agreed that the chairman would help to fill this gap?
No. I don't think
So this was not part of your board procedure at all?
No.
Okay. There were some matters that had come up in the documentation presented to us, which spoke about the fact that the constant repairs of the buses being repaired and breaking down quickly after, and having to be redone constantly. There was discussion that there were reconditioned parts that could have been purchased from overseas at
Reasonable.
significantly lower prices.
That was mostly the transmissions.
Yes. Did that matter come up for discussion at board level?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. It came up.
Came up for discussion, and we will
Yes.
find those in the minutes that you
During
have.
the minutes, yes, sir.
Okay. That's all I wanted to clarify, Chair.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Catwell, thank you. Apologize again for keeping you a little bit beyond the
No
scheduled
problem.
start.
Yes, no problem.
Thank you, and thank you, Ms. Toppin. Mrs. Toppin.
Thank you, sir.
Now, the requirements vis-à-vis the protocols, health-related mandate that we take a break to allow for some sanitizing of this area here. So we take a break with your permission for 5 minutes.
Sir, excuse me, sir. Am I free to go? I have to get away.
You are free to go.
Thank you very much.
Pardon? Pardon? Just on table.